All right. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Happy March. Chris has got this very festive March St. Patrick's Day background here for us. Thank you, Chris, for keeping things fun and interesting. I want to first acknowledge that I am not a Jay Hofstadter, so you are falsely advertised for this webinar. Jay was not feeling his best today, so I stepped up to host the webinar. But we all know that Chris is going to do most of the work here in a few minutes, taking us through how to protect your virtual environment using our disaster recovery as a service. So thanks again so much for everyone for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started. I am Kelly Gindelsberger. You may have seen me on one of these webinars before. I cover the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast accounts. So you might know me, or you might be covered by one of my teammates here, one of the other partner success managers at Infrascale. So I've been here a little under a year, but I've been in the data protection piece for about 6 years. Chris's background, though, is a little more impressive. Chris, I'll turn it over to you for a quick intro, and then we'll get started.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Chris Bain. I've been in this industry for about 20 years doing backup and recovery, specializing on replication, disaster recovery, site-to-site failover, which now is becoming site-to-cloud failover. So I've definitely got tons of experience in this. I actually was in New York for 9/11, so I actually helped 2 major companies, recover from data center losses. So I've not only talked about it, I've actually been through the experience of trying to bring stuff back and get a data center back online. So hopefully some of that experience will show through. Again, we're going to go over the DRaaS product today, and we're going to be focusing on protecting and restoring your virtual environments. And a surprise, we actually released a new update, 6.17, and we're talking about a couple of things in there that are going to help out your virtual environments.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris. So guys, we're going to take you through just a couple slides, and then Chris is going to jump into the console and show you guys how some of this stuff is done. So as Chris just said, we're going to cover 3 areas today. We're going to talk about how to configure virtual machine backups, recovering virtual machine data in 3 ways, and then booting VMs locally and in the cloud. Okay, so first up, so some of you may have worked with Infrascale for years. Others, maybe this is only your second call with Infrascale. So just a couple things here, just very high level about us. The things on this slide I think are most important. Currently protecting over 700 petabytes of data. We're also 100% channel focused. So we really rely on our channel partners like yourself. If an end user comes to us and they want to use the Infrascale products, we do route that through a channel partner. So we do not take that direct. And then you can see we've been highlighted by Gartner over the past couple years. Next slide, Chris. Okay, so this is really important. It's a big part of our partner program. I want to make sure that you're aware of how to register an opportunity, and then also that if you have a DRaaS opportunity, it's important that we get that appliance sizing form from you. So Jay or Chris, maybe one of you guys could throw these links there in the chat. But you guys want to hang on to them if you don't already have them. Thanks, Jay. So for the deal registration, once that deal is closed, we do reward you with a $100 Amazon gift card as a thank you for that deal registration. That deal registration is also going to lock you in as the only partner to receive the OpReg special pricing. And then the DRaaS sizing form helps us to properly size out which appliance would work best for your client. Okay, so high level here, we've got 3 products. I'm going to start here from the bottom. Again, this is just kind of like a broader overview of Infrascale. Chris is going to be drilling into DRaaS here in just a few minutes. So cloud backup is for those endpoints, desktops, laptops, tablets, mobile devices, allows you to recover at the file and folder level. We've also got a bare metal restore option available there as well, should you have clients needing to restore at the image level. Something kind of cool here is our ransomware alerting with our anomaly detection. So, can quickly alert you if there's potentially some ransomware in your environment based on the number of documents that have been changed in a day. Next up is DRaaS. Thank you, Chris, for highlighting that. So this is our appliance to cloud offering that I know many of you are familiar with. It is to protect critical servers and applications that your clients cannot afford to have go down. We have a 15-minute uptime guarantee here. What that means is we guarantee that we can boot power to any machine in our cloud in 15 minutes or less. Our average right now is 90 seconds, but the commitment is 15 minutes. No upfront hardware costs on DRaaS, something to keep in mind. So Chris, I'll let you expand on that more in a second. Last is cloud application backup. So those cloud-based applications that you see there on the screen, Office 365, G Suite, SharePoint, OneDrive, those are only going to let you recover up to 30 days. If you have a client that needs something more than that, this tool would allow them to do that. And actually, we've had a client with Infrascale that we ran an opt-out program with them as a managed service provider. We said, hey, let's turn this on for all your end users. Let's let them know about it, and then give them the chance to opt out after 45 or 60 days. They had a 60% retention rate, which was great. So just something to think about if you're managing or selling a lot of that. All right, not going to drill in too much here. Just want to make you aware, if you have clients that need to comply with these regulations here on the screen, HIPAA, FINRA, PCI, CJIS, just to name a few, we can do that for you. Certainly let us know if you have questions or want to dig in deeper there. All right, Chris, this is where I turn it over to you.
So absolutely. One of the important things to talk about when we're talking about Infrascale, and Kelly just went over the 3 different solutions that we offer. Definitely, they're all managed under this one interface. So as we can see right here, it's a multi-tiered interface, so it makes it very easy for you to organize your DR appliances with your customers and associate who's using what. It also lets you manage all the different applications from within this one interface. And we do have integration with ConnectWise if you guys are using that. And we'll look at the dashboard a little bit more in a second. So the dashboard and the agent for cloud backup are fully brandable, and so this is what the default looks like. And then, within 15-20 minutes, you could change it to match whatever your company is or your company backup product you would like to call. And then even the emails that go out, those are customized to whatever that you guys would like to set up. If you Now, when we talk about doing this particular DRaaS offering, we talked about, we're taking your on-prem data, we're backing it up, and we're sending it to the cloud. Well, we have cloud flexibility, meaning we can go to public clouds or we can go to one of our private clouds, and these are, where those clouds are out there. Now, there's a lot of advantages to using our cloud, but we don't lock you down to that. And we'll go a little bit more over that when we look at doing cloud boot up. So again, this is a appliance-based solution. So to break it down to its most simple thing, we're going to put an appliance on-prem. That appliance is going to take physical and virtual servers. It's going to back that data up. It's going to encrypt that data. And now that we've got that data there, we can easily restore files, folders, the machine, and we can also boot it or spin it up on top of our appliance. Now, because we've got all that availability here, we can hook that appliance up to one in the cloud. So it's going to replicate only the jobs that you want to have replicated over. And then we would give you that same functionality to spin those machines up in the cloud. Now first, let's go ahead and take a look at how easy it is to configure virtual machine backups. So here we're going to jump in. This is, again, that dashboard. We would come in here and we would say Manage DR Sites and Appliances. This is going to show us all the appliances that we've got out there, but if we just want to look at a specific one, so today we're just going to be looking at, say, the Orlando office, we can come in here and we can say, let's log in as the company admin. And then when we go to DR sites and appliances now, we're just going to see the appliances that are relevant to this environment. Now, if we want to go in here and configure this appliance, we just come in here and say manage appliance. That's going to bring up our primary on-site appliance interface here. To go ahead and set up backups, we just go over to the VMware tab for VMware. We would say add connections. We put in our vCenter host here, or our ESX host, and then we would put in a username and password, and that's going to connect into that environment and show us all the virtual machines that are there. Now, when we do that, it's going to ask us two things, right? One, it's going to ask us, do you want to protect all the virtual machines? And you can say yes, or you can go in and manually select them. And the second question is, do you want to protect all new machines in this environment? And I always turn that on because I'd rather have something protected and not need it. I can always come in and make it not a client. So we're looking here, we can see the most important server ever. Oh, it's not being protected. So what do we need to do? We can just right click on that server. We can say register. And now that machine has been registered and it's going to start getting backed up along with all the other servers. So it's that easy to register and unregister something in VMware. Now, I know that I'm starting to see a lot more Hyper-V out there. With Hyper-V, it's pretty much the same as VMware, but it is a little bit different because Microsoft likes to be different. So in here, we do have to install an agent on the Hyper-V server, but not on all the guest OS. So just install the one agent, and then we would say add connections. And we can even push out the agent from here. We could say add a new client, put in the Hyper-V server, push out that agent, and it's going to ask us the same question. Do you want to back up all the machines? And what do you want to do with future machines? Now, with that being said, that's how we set up our backups. It's nice and simple. We only have to install agents really on those Hyper-V servers. The next thing we're going to do now that we've set up some clients and we're backing them up is let's go ahead and look at how we can get data back from those clients. So we're going to come back over here. We're going to go client summary. And we're going to take a look at, let's look at this Hyper-V server down here. It's a Windows 10 machine. We can right click. We can go here and do browse and restore. So these are all the different backups, point in times that we have. So if someone needed a file from, say, February, they updated it and they want the old copy back, we could go there. Or we could go, as recent as the most recent backup. And now it asks us, well, what do we want to recover from this machine, right? Do we want to recover the VMDK files that make up that machine? Do we want to recover the contained files? So do we want to mount the file system and then go out there and be able to get individual files and folders? Or do we want to restore application data? Maybe we were backing up a SQL or Exchange that was inside of a virtual environment. Now, if we say that we want to do contained files, we can just hit next, say we want to restore the full path. It's going to give us a summary, and then it's going to go out and it's going to mount these and then allow us to drill through. So here I can go in, I can look, maybe users. I've got some pictures here on my desktop. Maybe I wanted to get back one of these pictures. Up here, I can choose to restore it to an appliance network share. So those of you who have been using our product before, hopefully that's new. That's something that just came out in 6.17. So now instead of having to push it back to the actual client, we can actually put it out on a network share that's on the appliance, and people can access it and get the files that way. We could also push it back to the machine. So we could push it to any of our clients that we've got out there. We could push it to a different directory on any of those clients if we wanted to. Or we could just simply click on the file, and that's going to download it in our web browser, and then we could send that file back out to the user. Now, that's how we would get files and folders and stuff back. What if we actually wanted to recover a machine? So we could come in here and we could say, all right, maybe this VMware machine, my domain controller, came down, and I want to push it back out into my virtual environment. Well, then we would come in here and we would say restore. And here we can pick from the current copies of our backups. And now we've got some options, right? We can either restore it to the existing machine, so we would overwrite that, or we could create a new virtual machine. So I'm going to create a new one. We can pick what host we want to go back to, and then we can pick the data store and resource pools that we want to put the server into. If we wanted to lay out the storage, we could do that here. And then we're going to give it a unique name once it gets restored into that environment. Now here, we have the option to turn the virtual machine on after it has been restored and to give it networking, yes or no. So I would say that I don't want to give it networking because that actual domain controller is up and working. And now if I hit finish, it's going to go out to my virtual environment. It's going to create that machine, and then it's going to restore all the data to all those volumes. And now this is a very similar process to what it is to restore Hyper-V. Again, you would go through the wizard, pick the Hyper-V server that you want to restore to, and then go ahead and tell it if you want to power it on or off or not when it's done with that restore. Now, the one last thing that we want to look about when we're talking about recovering data is actually booting things on top of the appliance. So that being said, let's go ahead and look at booting both locally and booting up inside the cloud. So we come back in here, now we go over to our boot tab. We look at our active tab right here, and we can see that we have nothing in there. Now, when we look at a disaster recovery, we look at an outage, we're really looking at two different times, right? We're looking at our recovery point objective and our recovery time objective. So the recovery point is going to be how much data do we lose? How frequently are we backing data up? And in a minute, I'm going to go over some really exciting news about how frequently we can back up virtual servers. And it's a lot more frequent than most of our competitors. And then how long until that machine's back up? And that's really where boot comes in. So say we get a call that the web server's down, we verify that it's offline. Well, we can come in here and we can simply say, all right, we want to boot this machine up. We can pick from any of our backups that we've got. So we're going to go with the most recent. Here we've got some knobs we can turn for how much RAM we want to give it. We can give it a unique name. Now, these are going to be different based on the different size appliance you get. So this is one of our smallest ones you can get. So that's why it's got, 16 gigs of RAM I can divvy out and 4 processors. The bigger machines have a lot more resources. Now here under networking, I can choose no network. I can put it on my production network, which is what I would do if it was actually a server that was down and I was trying to boot this up to take the place of that server. And I can also boot it on an isolated subnet. So what that's going to let me do is if I have 2 servers and I want to test that they can talk to each other and all that's going to work, I can boot them both on that. They're still not going to be on my production network, but they're going to be in a network where they can talk to each other. So for here again, we're just going to say no network. We'll go ahead and say boot. So we come over here and we take a look. Right now it's creating that virtual machine. Go ahead and refresh. That machine's been created and it's starting to boot up here. This is where we give you that 15-minute guarantee. So even though we didn't give it networking, we can securely connect to it through an encrypted VNC session. And this is going to take us to the console of that machine and let it come online. Now, like I said, we give you that 15-minute guarantee that we can get power to a machine and get it booting up. As you can see with this particular machine, we're going to be closer to like 70 to maybe 90 seconds on powering on until it's fully booted and ready to go.
Do you want me to ask a question from chat while that's going, or do you want to talk through over that 70 to 90 seconds?
You can do it. Well, it's up and booted now, so.
Oh, so we beat the 70 seconds.
We're good
okay,
there.
well then I'll let you keep going, and then we'll just do questions at the end.
Sure, absolutely. So that's how easy it is to boot things locally. It doesn't take a lot of effort. You always have access to the resources. This is a great place to sandbox testing, installing a patch or a configuration change or something like that, because you can literally take your server from last night, boot it up, make whatever change you want, and verify that it works before you apply those changes to your production server. Now, this machine, say we're done running it, we could power it off the graceful way to do it, or because we're just doing a demo here, we'll just pull the plug. Now I get asked, all right, well, Chris, say we did have to run on the appliance and we need to go back into our production environment. What does that look like? How complicated is it? I've used other products in the past and it was not easy. Well, with us, you would shut down the machine. So once the machine is shut down and we know it's no longer getting new input, you'd simply hit create backup job, hit yes. That's going to create a backup job with the latest copy of all that data, and then you would restore that out into your environment. So it's really easy. It's literally 2 clicks of a button to go from running on the appliance to running back in production. Now, with that being said, that's what local looks like. We're also replicating all these up to the cloud. So say I wanted to come in here and I wanted to manage my cloud side. I wanted to see, do a cloud test. We can come in here and we can say manage cloud. And what that's going to do is it's going to boot up the interface that is for the cloud side. As you can see, it looks very similar to the on-prem interface. But this is where we have some differences. So if we look at the boot section, we still have our boot groups like we do on-prem, but now we have something called orchestration. And the reason for that is because on-prem, you're most likely going to boot one or two servers that maybe got ransomware, or maybe a patch went haywire and you had to boot it up locally, or maybe it was even a physical machine and you needed to boot it up on our appliance because you're waiting for a part to get there. But if you're coming to the cloud, most likely you're bringing all of those important servers that you need for your business to run. So you're going to need to boot up more things, and you're probably going to need more resources. Now, when we look here, we can see, even in my simple at my house, I've still got a domain controller that I want to boot up first, and then I have Monster, which is my file server that I want to boot up afterwards, and then finally I have my web servers that I want to boot up, and that's because they use stuff that's on the file server, and the file uses Active Directory, for all of its security and logins and stuff. Now, what if I wanted to add a new tier? I'm working with my customer, and well, now that we want to test stuff after the web servers come up. So I can just come over here and I can say, all right, let's add a new group. We'll throw it down here. We'll throw in a Windows 7 and a Windows 10 client. And we'll name that clients. And now we've added a new tier to be able to do this. So now when I hit play, it's going to start all these up in this specific order. So it's really nice to be able to kind of build this digital run book. That way, take it from me, when there's an actual disaster going, things get a little bit chaotic. So it's definitely nice to be able to jump in and know that you've already tested your plan and you can just hit play and it's going to come up as expected. Now, when we look here, it's very much the same. So say I just wanted to boot this individual box. I can pick it, look at all the backups for it, give it some resources, tell it how many processors, pick the network I want it to boot on. And again, in the cloud, same thing. It's already coming online. We're already starting to see those resources come up. Now, one thing that's very important when you're looking at a solution like this is, one, you always can get to your cloud resources. We don't ever block that. You don't have to ask for permission. And two, how easy is it to get from the cloud back to on-prem? And with most of our competitors, that's really complicated. With us, it's just almost the same as on-prem. Again, we want to shut it down. I'm going to do it the bad way. I'm going to pull the plug. I'm going to say that I want to create a backup job. That's going to create a backup job to back up all the changes since it was running in the cloud. Again, only the changed blocks have to be replicated. We do a block level global dedupe. So it's really efficient on sending this data back, and it's really efficient on taking these backups. So it's going to create this backup. Once the backup's done, I would simply come over to the Jobs tab. And then at the top, we're going to see here that backup that I just ran. So now we've got this backup. We're going to go ahead and we're going to push it back to primary. So that's going to kick it into our replication. And then our replication is going to go ahead and push that backup job back to the primary. Once it's pushed back onto the primary, it's one click to go ahead and restore it back out. So it's 2 clicks when you're local, 3 clicks when you're in the cloud. You got that one extra step of pushing it back to primary. Again, it's very easy to do. So it's very automated, not necessarily automatic, but very automated for you guys. So with that being said, that was kind of what we were planning to do today. I'm trying to cram some extra content here at the end. Shameless plug for a video that I just did. This is going to be 4 of the major things that are in the 6.17 firmware update and 4 tips to make your life better. For instance, devices.infrascale.com. If you guys don't know what that is, it definitely makes deploying the solution way easier. So check out that video. And I'm going to hit just 2 things real quick that I think are really important about the 6.17 update and how it works with virtual machines. So the first thing, what's in this update? What's important for you guys to know? Well, our new retention policies are now out there. So this is what our current retention policies look like, right? We have the ability, and again, this is just for virtual, it'll be for physical in our next update, but you have basically very basic retention. How long do I want to keep my full backups, and how long off-site do I want to keep my full backups? We didn't really have granularity, so if I'm running 5 fulls a day, I've got to keep 5 fulls a day for 4 weeks. Well, now when you come in here and you hit migrate, you're going to get this rotation scheme. So now we can say, all right, I want to keep all of my backups, and maybe I'm doing backups every 4 hours. Well, I want to keep all those for 7 days. And then let's keep the last backup of each day. We'll keep that for 4 weeks. And let's keep the last backup of that week. We'll keep that for 6 months. And then we'll keep the last backup of the month for a year, or some amount of years. So now we're not keeping the 8 backups we're doing every day forever. But we do give you that granularity where you need it. All backups for 7 days. So you could go back to any point in time in those 7 days. But then it starts to get a little less granular as we go out. But that enables you guys to keep much longer retention periods. And another thing that we've changed is the ability to do an incremental. So if you know how we do our backups, we do a full backup, and then we do a change block backup. And then when we bring it onto the appliance, we put those two together, and that's what gives us that ability to boot from any point in time. Well, previously, if it didn't have a full backup, it wouldn't do an incremental backup because it wanted the full to build the incremental synthetic backup off of. Well, we've changed the way that happens a little bit now, and as long as you have any type of backup, it doesn't need to pull a new full backup. So now the ability to pull full backups, you can space that out over longer periods of time, or if you guys accidentally expired one or did something, to do the next backup, it doesn't have to pull full. It can use that previous synthetic full to build a new synthetic full. Now with that, we've also done a lot of stuff behind the scenes to make replication faster and more stable, to make VMware backups to be able to be backed up more frequently, which is something that we're definitely have been asked for a lot. So go ahead and check out that video if you're interested in any of those things. And now we'll kind of just wrap it up on all the things that we had gone over. So again, it's a per protected terabyte. That's going to include all the hardware, all the software, all the cloud, get you that 15-minute guarantee. It's going to get you remote support. It's going to get you implementation assistance. It's going to get you training. It's going to get you access to the dashboard that is rebrandable. So all of that is all included with that. Now go ahead and let Kelly throw some stuff in if she wants.
Thanks, Chris. Wow, what a great demo, and thanks so much for the highlights on the new release. So guys, Chris just mentioned a YouTube video where he goes into greater detail. It's about a 20-minute video. I just pasted that link in the chat. So if you want to check that out, it is there for you. I will also include it in the follow-up. So we have 3 questions, Chris. So I'm going to read them in order. The first one is email archiving with the option to access those emails quickly available with the cloud application backup?
So cloud application backup is really more focused towards backing up and recovering that data. So say you had an employee leave and you wanted to archive everything out of their email that they had in their 365 or something like that. It's geared for that side of the thing. It's not an email archiving tool as far as being able to search and easily pull back things from an archive. So it's really more about backing up that data and then being able to recover it and extending it past that 30 days that Microsoft gives you that they protect you for backing up emails.
Excellent. So thank you. Were you going to expand on that?
No, I was starting to read the next question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess you can see them too. I'll read the next one. Can you back up Cisco Call Manager and Unity servers running on VMware?
So we would, definitely want to double check on those specific ones. But yes, anything that's running on top of VMware, we use VMware's APIs to go ahead and back it up. So what's inside the VM doesn't really matter. Now, if it does have VMware tools inside the VM, that does make it so that VMware has much better ways of quiescing the database and making sure that we're getting a consistent backup. But no matter what, we can always get a crash consistent backup of any VM, whether it's in Hyper-V or VMware.
Got it. Thank you. Next one. And everyone, I know we're running a couple minutes over here, so if you've got a hard stop, by all means, do what you need to do. I will send out a link to the recording and the follow-up email. So next question, if you boot it on the appliance, how do we move back to the original hardware once repaired? Do we get stuck with a larger downtime if it's a big VM?
Yeah, kind of. So it really is going to depend a little bit. I mean, so when we boot on the appliance, again, we're going to power it down. We're going to hit create backup. That's going to create a backup of just the changes since you ran on the appliance. And then you would go in and you would highlight that client and do a recover, and that's going to push it back into your VMware environment. Now, we have ran into situations where people had really old networks, you know, like 1 gigabit networking, and they're trying to push like a 4 terabyte server out. That's just on the networking. We can only go as fast as the network will allow us to go. Now, if you've got 10 gigabit, which is built into our appliances, and we're pushing data around on that, you know, the size isn't going to be so much as big of an issue to be able to do that recovery. But while it is recovering that VM, that machine would have to be down.
Thank you.
So the bigger the machine, the longer that restore will take.
Next question, what is Infrascale's relationship to StorageCraft?
So StorageCraft bought Shadow Protect, and Shadow Protect is one of the methods that we allow you to use to back up and protect and do bare metal recovery with our cloud backup program. So it's not, we support Shadow Protect, but we don't really have a relationship where we're building products together or going to market together.
Great answer, thank you. Looks like we have our last question. Unless anyone has any others, feel free to throw them in there, or you can unmute here in just a second. Last question is, do we have any integration to SolarWinds?
So I don't know what integration you would be looking for there. So definitely reach out and we can figure that out. I mean, if we're looking at, I don't know if SolarWinds can grab SNMP traps. If so, we can throw those out. We can do email alerting. We can do all that kind of stuff. So PSA integration. Yeah, I'm not sure. So I'll make a note to take that up with you, Ross, offline, so I can find out exactly what it is you're looking for, and if we support it, and if we don't, where down the line we would support that.
Excellent. All right. Well, looks like we're all set. Chris, thanks so much for the great demo and going through all the stuff here. Those that have attended, we really appreciate your time. We know your time is valuable. We appreciate your partnership. Look forward to hopefully drumming up some more business with you guys in 2019. And if you would like to see a certain topic covered on one of these webinars in the future, I mean, we only have 3 products here, so we certainly run out of products, so we're starting to rotate now. But by all means, please reach out to your partner success manager. Let them know if you'd like to see something specific covered in the future. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. We appreciate it. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.